Hi friends, Aitherea here, and today I'm doing a bit of a beginner's guide because we have a lot of players coming over from Xbox who are completely new to the game, so welcome. And if you're not an Xbox player, that's also awesome. Welcome to the game. And I just want to make it clear that this guide is first of all going to be for people who are probably still in A Realm Reborn. You might still learn something if you're not, but I'm kind of catering this to the newest of the new. And then secondly, this is not going to be a combat guide, so if what you're looking for is combat, then that's not what this is. This guide is more so going to be about things that might be confusing when you first start, or just aren't so immediately apparent. So I'm going to be going over things like map navigation, the teleport menu, chocobo porters, combat chocobos, gearing up, and a little bit about Glamour and Fantasias. Just things that, there are some mistakes that people have made with these things where they wish they knew, so I hope that I can tell you so that you'll know and you won't be kicking yourself for any of these. I'll be more specific about that later, but let's get into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is map navigation. Alright, so I'm standing in Horizon and let's take a look at the map. First of all, if you hold down Control, you will see the Aetherea and you can actually click on that and teleport. So it's nice because it's kind of hidden. Of course, you can also zoom in, but this is just a nice little trick if you're on keyboard to be able to quickly see the Aetherea and click on it. Now let's look at the map icons. We have the world map, which is literally the whole map. And if you want to get back to your character, you can center on your player's location. Another cool thing is you can display the region or world map. So this one's going to take me out to the region, which is Thonalon, and that shows me the whole map. There's also these transparency settings, so you will notice if I click off, it's kind of transparent, but if I change this, it stays. So you can do that. We also have display or hide map icons, which if we go back here, oops, wrong one. If we go back here, you will see everything nearly disappears. Then we also have text, you can display or hide. So if you're looking for something and things are a little cluttered, maybe you'd use that. I don't really know, but it's there. The more useful one is locking the map. So this is really great for PvP if you're trying to keep track of your teammates, of the enemy, or even of certain things that may be spawning on the map. You don't really necessarily want to close your map, so you'll see if I press escape, it won't close the map. So that's really helpful, is you can lock the map. Now we have these drop-down menus, and this one will just show you the different regions that you have to choose from of the maps that you've unlocked. So if we go to the Black Shroud, we can see all of the different shroud locations. We can click on them to zoom in if we like. You can also use this drop-down menu if you want to go to a specific one. But even better, you can look at, if you want to, the maps for some of the dungeons that are in this area. So that's really neat too. And now we're going to go back to my location because you may have noticed that there's some text that is blue and it's by arrows. This means that that's like a different region or a different place within that map. So if you go and you click, it'll take you to that map. So if we click here, it's taking us to Ul'dah, and you can see the Aetherea Plaza and the Grand Company and all the things that are in Ul'dah Steps of Nald. Meanwhile, I have the option to take a lift to go to Husting Strip, or I can stay on the ground level and go to Steps of Thal. You'll see I have a quest here, so it looks a little bit different. And now I am in the Steps of Thal, where we have the Sapphire Avenue Exchange, which has the market board and all these different merchants and things. And, you've got Blue Mage stuff. There's a bunch of stuff here. And then you can see we can leave. We can go to Central Thonalon through a gate. We can go to the Goblet, which is the housing zone. Or we can go to the upstairs area, which is the Husting Strip, where you will find the Royal Promenade. So here we see Chamber of Rule, the Royal Promenade's over here, and you have the Alchemist Guild. I know Ul'dah is super confusing. It was really confusing for me to read. So basically now if we go back down the stairs to the Merchant Strip, I wish it would call it Steps of Thal. It doesn't, but that's kind of where it's taking you is. So we are right here. We see these stairs. We're going to come out right over here. Similarly, we're up here, here's the Aetherite thing. Here's the lift. So we can take the lift back to Steps of Nald, which is again the same area that the big Aetherite is in. But if we take these stairs over here, they take us down to here, and then you can run over here by the Weaver's Guild if you want. Or you can run around through here and come back over here by Sapphire Avenue Exchange. So that's kind of how that works and how the map works. So I hope that the map, it makes a little bit more sense to you now. I tried using Ul'dah for the end here because it is really confusing. And once you collect all the Aetherites, once you attune to all these small Aetherites, it's going to be a lot easier because you can just teleport to an Aetherite. So I really recommend that you just run around and grab all the Aetherites so that you don't have to worry as much about figuring out what all these staircases and arrows and blue text means. But I do hope that my explanation helped. If you're playing on keyboard and mouse, I believe this does not apply to controller, just keyboard and mouse, you might notice that the default movement is a little weird. So when I press W, she does run forward, and if I move my mouse holding the right click, the camera moves and she runs. And that might seem fine, like that's what you expect, right? But let me press S. She's walking backwards. She's not running towards the camera. She walks backwards. She doesn't turn around. And some people might like this, but for me, especially when I first started playing, I cannot tell you how triggered I got by this, because I would try to avoid a mechanic by running backwards, because I expected her to run backwards towards the camera. I was like, let me just press S and run away, and she's walking. And when you're trying to get out of stuff, that feels a little bit too slow. That's cutting it close. So how do you change this? You go into your character configurations and you need to change the movement setting to Legacy. So we apply that. Now let me press S. Okay, she turns around. And that's what I think is preferable. So if that's been bothering you, that is how you can change that. Next, I want to talk about using the teleport menu. It starts off on your hotbar, but if you took it away on keyboard, you can press P to open the menu of all the different commands and stuff, and you'll be able to see this teleport shortcut. So basically, you just teleport places. Make sure that anywhere you go, you attune to the big blue crystal called an Aetherite so that you can teleport back to it later. So that might be a little bit obvious, but I will tell you, for whatever reason, I didn't realize when I was a new player that I could teleport directly to the gold saucer via the teleport menu. Same with the Wolf's Den. I don't know why, but I was taking an airship to the gold saucer until I realized I could just teleport there, and I felt really dumb. So there's that, but there's some other things about teleportation that you might not know. So first of all, you can set favored destinations. I believe you get 3. And what this does is it basically cuts the teleportation cost anytime that you are teleporting to that destination, and you'll see like a little silver star next to it in the teleport menu. And all you have to do is go to that place, right click on the Aetherites, and just set it as your favorite destination. Similarly, you'll see that you can set something as a home point, and this is what your return skill is used for. Return is a completely free teleportation to whatever Aetherite you have set as your home point. So if you set Limsa Lominsa as your home point, you can return there for free. The only caveat is that the cooldown for the return skill is 15 minutes long, so it is quite a long time. Now, you might have noticed when I open my teleport menu and go to the favorites section, I actually have 4 favored destinations. This is because I downloaded the Final Fantasy XIV companion app, and with the companion app, you get a 4th favored location that you can set. Along with that, you'll also get the Tomestone emote, which looks like you're scrolling on a phone. And there's also some things that you get for, I think, your portrait and your adventurer plates, but that's how you get the 4th favorite destination. Now you're probably like, what's this gold one? And it says 0 if you notice. This is my free destination, which I got for registering a security token. So when you log in using the launcher, you probably notice there is a section that says one-time password. And if you don't have this set up, then you don't need to put it in at all. But if you go through the motions of setting it up, you have to go into like the Mog Station website. You can set up this one-time password. You can use an authenticator app for it, and you will get a free teleport, and you can set it wherever you want. So if I wanted to change it and set it here, all I'd have to do is register security token free destination. And the great thing about the security token is obviously it's basically like two-factor authentication, so it's a little bit of extra protection on your account in case you're worried about getting hacked, which has happened in the past. People have gotten their accounts hacked. It's not like an impossible thing. It is a thing that happens sometimes. So it is worth it because you will get a free teleport location anywhere you want, and you can change it as you see fit. And you also get more security. So that is what that stuff is. Now you might be thinking, if I can teleport everywhere, why would I need a Chocobo porter? Well, there are some places that you unfortunately cannot teleport everywhere. So for example, if you go to Kurthus, I believe there's a teleport, there's an Aetherite in Camp Dragonhead, but if you want to get to any of the other small, like, little town places there, they don't have Aetherites. You cannot teleport there. And if you don't have, I mean, obviously you can run there and you have to run there, but sometimes it's nice to just take a Chocobo porter. I like to do that when I want to eat a snack. So something to note about the Chocobo porters is that you can only go to places that you have already discovered. So unfortunately, you do have to like run to each place the first time that you ever go there. You have to just run. And you also must talk to the Chocobo porter in each area, because if you don't talk to them, let's say that I want to go from the Cerulean processing plant to Camp Blue Frog. If I want to do that, and I want to take a Chocobo porter, if I have not talked to the Chocobo porter in either of those places, I can't get there. So I have to make sure I talk to them both places. So that is something that is good to know. And again, it's not like the most useful thing. Once you get to a higher level, or once you, I guess, get to further along in the MSQ, you'll be able to fly. But not gonna lie, even as a level 90 player, occasionally I take a Chocobo porter just so I can eat a snack, okay? Hands-free. You can also rent a Chocobo from any of the Chocobo keeps in the main cities, so Ul'dah, Limsa-Lominsa, or Gridania. And this just allows you to actually drive the Chocobo yourself, and it lasts for 10 minutes. This can be really useful if you're just wanting to maybe travel around any of these areas, whether it be the Shroud, Thonalon, or Lenosha. Maybe you want to go from the starting point all the way to South Shroud, and having a mount means that you get a little bit faster of a running speed. Now, this isn't going to be useful for a very long time because you will get your own Chocobo around level 20, and I say around because it's the MSQ level 20 that you're able to get a quest called My Little Chocobo. Basically, the main story quest will lead you to the Grand Companies and like make you join one, and once you do that, you're able to get your own Chocobo. I'm not going to go over that really because I think the main story quest does do a good job of like really like taking you there and like pushing you to do that. And obviously, if you're confused, there's a lot of information online about it, and if you're really confused, you can feel free to ask in the comments. But that's the other thing that Chocobo keeps or Chocobo porters can do, is that in the main cities you can rent a Chocobo to ride around on 80 gil for 10 minutes. Now, next, since we're talking about Chocobos, let's talk about something a little bit more useful than Chocobo porters that will continue to be useful into your endgame experience: combat Chocobos. You can use your Chocobo to fight alongside you. So it actually has 3 different stances, which are healer, defender, and attacker stances. And I think the most useful one is probably the healer stance, because this way if you're playing a DPS or a tank, maybe you're doing fates in the open world, maybe you're going through your MSQ, and part of the MSQ is that you stop in one of those little purple destinations and all these like mobs come out at you. Your Chocobo will both heal you and attack them. That's if they're on free stance. If they're on healer stance, they will focus on healing you and doing nothing else. And then if they're on attack stance, attacking. Defense stance is kind of similar to attack stance, but they do have some different skills. You can open up the companion. If you go look in your menus and then click on companion, it'll show you the skill trees for the chocobos, so you can see which ones you want to level up first, what skills look the most useful to you. But guess what? You're gonna get all of them eventually, because when your chocobo is max level, you will have leveled up every single skill tree. You'll have all of the skills unlocked, so there will come a point in your gameplay that your chocobo is just max level and you have everything and you don't have to worry about choosing anymore because you get to have all of them. So this unlocks in Camp Tranquil. You need to speak to an NPC named Doset and get the quest called My Feisty Little Chocobo. So you just have to follow that quest line and you will be able to use your chocobo, your company chocobo that you got from the Grand Company as part of the MSQ, as also a fighting companion. Just be aware that once your chocobo reaches level 10, to level them up after that, you have to feed them an item called a Thavnarian onion. These can be a bit expensive. However, a lot of free companies are really helpful with this and are often willing to just give their members Thavnarian onions for their chocobos. A lot of free companies actually will do gardening so they can raise their own Thavnarian onions. So like I said, it can be a little expensive, but maybe look for a friendly free company that is open to new players and you'll probably be able to get some of those for free. Next, let's talk about gearing up. So before you get to level 50, you honestly don't have to worry too much about gearing up because the main story quest is going to help you with that. So the main story quest will give you gear pieces as well as coffers, so make sure that you look in your inventory and you open the coffers that they give you so that you can use the gear. Similarly, when you're doing your job quests, at certain points you will be given coffers with gear in them, so again, open those. Also, whenever you run a dungeon, you can roll on the gear pieces that they drop, so you're going to want to do that as well. So how do you choose between all of those gear pieces, whether you got it from the main story quest, a dungeon, or from the job quests? Basically, just pick whatever has the highest item level. So whichever one has the highest number, use that. You also want to be using stuff that fits your role. So sometimes at low levels, you can use Dark Light Necklace of Healing, even though you are playing a tank, which means that you should be using Fending. What you want to do is look at the role. So if it's Disciple of War, that's usually going to be for your physical players, melee players. For example, Ninja would be a melee player, Dragoon would be a melee player. Ninja starts off as Rogue, I believe, and Dragoon starts off as Lancer in this game. And then if you're a Disciple of Magic, that would be stuff like Summoner, which starts off as Arcanist. Scholar and the other healers are Disciples of Magic. And then the weird thing is the tank gear doesn't usually get a name like Disciple of War or Disciple of Magic. Instead, it's usually going to say something along the lines of Gladiator, Marauder, Paladin, Warrior, Dark Gunbreaker underneath the item level. But if it looks like it belongs on a old school knight, it's probably tank gear. You really don't have to worry about it that much. As long as you've got something, you're using whatever you've got with the highest item level, it's fine. It's gonna be fine. However, once you get to level 50, you can start getting something called Allegan Tomestones of Poetics, and these are used for level 50 Tomestone gear, which you can get in Mordona at Oriana, who sells the gear, or Aelina, who sells the weapons. Or you can go to, this is easier in my opinion, you can go to Rowena's representative, who is literally just really close to the Aetherea in Ul'dah, Gridania, and Limsa Lominsa. The Tomestone gear, once you're able to get it, is going to be the best gear you can get for your level, and as you level up, pretty much throughout the game, you're going to be wanting to get Tomestone gear that matches your level. Even at endgame, like level 90, you'll be getting Tomestone gear. It's just that the Tomestones change. At low levels, you use Tomestones of Poetics, and at high levels, I can't really tell you the names because they change. They change with certain patches, so it's not worth talking about them. And it's really not something for you to worry about right now. Just know that once you get to level 50, you can use Tomestone gear, and if you're curious, how do I even get these Tomestones? Well, you can get them from level 50 dungeons, like level 50 or higher dungeons. The MSQ roulette in the Duty Finder gives 350 Tomestones of Poetics. The Alliance Raid Roulette, I think, gives like 150 or 120, somewhere in there. And you can always just open the duty finder and scroll through the different dungeons and things to see which ones drop poetics. So I also want to talk about creating a gear set. And what this is essentially your saved gear. And if you play multiple jobs, then you can save a gear set for each one. And that way, when you switch to that job, or specifically that gear set, you're not having to put everything back on again. So open your character menu and then click on this here that says gear set list. Then if you want to create a new one because you don't have one yet, you just hit this plus. And if you want to, you can also give it a new name. So let's see, change set name, and we're just gonna call this, I don't know, show and tell. So there, now we have that created. And if I wanted to toggle to a different gear set, I would again open this menu and just double click the one that I want to wear. So if I want to change my job to warrior, I double click on it and there I'm at a warrior. Another thing to note about this is that let's say that I change a piece of my gear. Actually, let me go to show and tell real quick because I don't want to save that. But let's say that I change a piece of my gear and you want to update it. You just click these two little arrows and now you see that the gear is changed. So if I go back to this, it's there. So that's just how the gear sets work. And that's also how you can basically change your job. And as you can see, I can also update it to show or not show specific pieces, because you can toggle your visor, which I'm not wearing. You can toggle your weapon on and off. And since this weapon doesn't match right now, I don't want it to show up. So you can update your gear that way. So yes, this is how you can switch between your different jobs without having to constantly take on and off a weapon and put on a whole outfit. Before we move on to the next section, the most important thing I can tell you about gearing is to wear your soul crystal. Once you reach level 30, you will realize that you can become something new. So if you are an arcanist, you can become a scholar and a summoner at the same time. If you are a marauder, you can become a warrior, and you have to wear the soul crystal to become the other thing. You will be given that soul crystal when you do that job quest, but you absolutely must wear it, because if you do not, you will not have access to any of the new, better, cooler skills that you gained when your job changes from something like marauder to warrior or conjurer to white mage. So make sure that you equip that soul crystal. Now I want to talk about the basics of Glamour, because Glamour is the true end game, and I know a lot of low-level players probably get a little frustrated with how ugly they look. I actually made a video about this. You might have seen it already, that might be why you're here. But if you haven't seen it, I will be linking it. There should be a card, or you can look in the description. And that video will tell you where to look for Glamour, like how you can find Glamour at your level, even if you are a low level. So that should be helpful for figuring out where do I even get Glamour pieces. Now I'm going to tell you how to use them. So let's start with how to unlock Glamour. So you need to go to Swergheim in Vesper Bay. The MSQ story will take you to Vesper Bay. I just said MSQ story, but it's a main story, whatever, you get my point. That will take you to Vesper Bay, so if you're not there yet, it will take you there. So anyway, there's a lady sitting on a bench named Swergheim, and she will give you the quest, If I Had a Glamour, which is how you unlock the ability to glamour your gear. And then she will have a second quest called Color Your World, which will allow you to dye your gear. So you also want to do that quest. And then finally, she has a quest called Absolutely Glamorous. This is for Disciple of Hand level 15, which will allow you to make glamour prisms. So you don't have to do that one. There are other ways to get glamour prisms, but if you want to, you can. So now let's talk about how to get glamour prisms. So in my opinion, the best way is through your grand company, but not necessarily at low levels, because at low levels you will need your Grand Company seals to level up your rank in the Grand Company and be able to even get access to things like Glamour prisms. So instead, I would probably go with wolf marks, but those are two of the easy ways that you can get them, would be Grand Company seals, which you'll get by doing things like running dungeons or completing your Grand Company hunting log. You can also get Grand Company seals by turning in dungeon drops as an expert delivery, but you have to be a Sergeant 2nd class before you're able to do this, which is also why it's better not to spend your Grand Company seals until you've at least leveled up this far in the Grand Company. You can get wolf marks by doing any PvP, whether you're doing Crystalline Conflict, Frontlines. People don't really do Hidden Gorge or Rival Wings unless there's like a Moogle Tomestone event happening, but you can get them that way too if you ever manage to get into one of those fights. But really, any PvP will give you wolf marks, so you can get a few Glamour prisms that way. Obviously, you can buy them on the market board too, but in my opinion, it's not really worth it because there are ways to get them for free in the game. And finally, you can obviously craft them if you do that absolutely glamorous quest on a Disciple of the Hand. Now, how to use it, because sometimes people get a little bit confused about this too. So if you open your character menu and see the gear that you're wearing, you can right-click on any of the gear pieces that you're wearing and then choose Cast Glamour. It'll open up another menu, and on the right-hand side will be like all of the different things that you can choose to glam that piece with. If they are not bright, like they're kind of grayed out, that means that you cannot glam over the piece that you're wearing with the grayed out piece. But anything that is like vibrantly colored, normally colored, you can use. On top of this, if you are in an in-room, you can use the drop-down menu at the top right to select items from your inventory, your retainer inventory, your glamour dresser, or your armoire. So that'll allow you to glam over your piece kind of no matter where the other glam item is stored. Something to keep in mind is that if I'm wearing a level 30 outfit piece, I cannot glam over it with a level 50. Meanwhile, if I'm wearing a level 30 piece, I can glam over it with a level 1 piece because the level of the piece that I'm wearing is higher than the level of the piece I'm using to glam, if that makes sense. So that's important. You can also go into your glamour dresser and right-click on the glamour piece that you like, and then click Apply Glamour, and it will make your current gear reflect that piece. If you want to restore an item to its original appearance, you need something called a Glamour Dispeller, which you can also get for Grand Company seals or off the market board. Simply do the same thing, right-click the item and click Cast Glamour, but this time choose Remove, and it will be restored to its original appearance. Finally, you can make glamour plates, which will allow you to glam over an entire gear set or an entire outfit, as long as you are in a city. So basically, you open your glamour dresser and you click Edit Glamour Plates, and then you just put together an outfit that you like. And then, if you're in a city somewhere, you can open your character menu, click the Glamour Plates button, and then just click Apply, and that glamour that was on your plate will now be on your person, and you will look beautiful and cute and wonderful. So that's glamming in terms of glamour prisms and stuff. But sometimes when we talk about glamour, we're also talking about things like hairstyles and hair color. So let's talk about the esthetician now. So the esthetician allows you to change your hairstyle and color, your eyebrow shape, your lip color, your face paint and face color. This is kind of similar to makeup. Some of them are eyeshadows, some of them are cute little hearts on your cheeks, stuff like that. Special features, things like limbo rings, it allows you to change those and the color of those. Other features, it allows you to change things like beauty marks, because some races will have you can put a little freckle or mole on your character and you can change whether that's on or off. There's other toggleable features like scales if you're on or raw, so using the esthetician allows you to change all of these things. And this unlocks in Limsa Lominsa at the upper decks. You have to speak with a NPC whose name I can't pronounce, but it's something along the lines of Sidojbi. And they have a quest called Beauty is Only Scalp Deep. Follow that entire quest line. You'll know you're done because you'll get some vouchers that you can use to use the esthetician for free. After the esthetician is unlocked, you can summon him, his name is John Delane, with a crystal bell, which you'll find inside every single inn. Interestingly enough, you can also place crystal bells in housing. So if you have an FC room, an apartment, or you just like to visit your FC, some FCs will place crystal bells, but not all of them. So those are places you can look for the crystal bell, and then you can use it and change your hairstyle or your hair color or whatever you want. Once you finish the Realm Reborn expansion, so I believe after you do the quest, the ultimate weapon, you will get something called a Fantasia. And this item is something that you can use if you want to change your race completely, or if there are certain features about your character that maybe you're not happy with. Now, I want to talk about what you can use this for and what you shouldn't use this for, because this is what I was saying at the start of the video, is that there are people who have used their Fantasia to change their hair color, even though you can do that for free in the game at the esthetician. So you do not want to use a Fantasia for doing something like changing your hairstyle, hair color, or any of the things that I listed earlier. Always check the esthetician to see if they can do whatever change it is that you want to make before you decide to use a Fantasia, because Fantasias are sacred and they are $10. So you will get one free one. We're also going to get a free one if you purchase the Dawn Trail expansion, but otherwise, like, you do not get a lot of Fantasias for free in this game. So it's really important that you use them wisely and do not use them for things that the esthetician can do. This is something that I have seen people kick themselves over before. So hopefully this will not be you because you've watched this video. So what can you use a Fantasia for, or what should you use it for? So if you want to change your race completely, that would be a time to use a Fantasia. If you want to change your eye color, because you can't change your basic eye color with the esthetician. You can change your limbal ring color if you're an Ora, but you can't change your base eye color. Similarly, if you want to change your skin color or your height, if you want to change something like I believe some of the races have boobie sliders, so if you want to change the size of your boobies. If you decide that you like large irises but you chose small ones. Things like that. If you decide, I don't like nose 4, I'd rather have nose 3. Those are the kinds of things that you want to use a Fantasia for, because the esthetician can't do that. So that's kind of what you need to know about that. Just be careful, like I said. Check the esthetician before you use that Fantasia, but you will get one at the end of your Realm Reborn journey, which is really cool. So I think that is pretty much everything that I have to say. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comments, or if there's anything that you're confused about, I would love to know, because I kind of struggled putting this together because it's been a long time since I have been a Sprout. So I was like, what kinds of things would be helpful? As always, please consider leaving a sacrifice to Lord Algorithm in the form of a like, comment, share, or subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!